Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today is the beginning of another reading vlog in the same place, but technically now work for a different charity, but also the same charity because they merged together. It's a whole thing. I was a staff representative for it, didn't make any extra money, and only afterwards did I start getting questions related to stuff that I'd been asked to get questions for. I was like, well, that consultation period's over now, being transferred over, so you left it too late. Just had a message from, well, two messages from my manager trying to get a filing cabinet fixed. And I'm like, that's not why the person's here today. He's coming to fit a new till. He ain't going to sort your filing cabinet out. And to tell me we're getting a new ragman. All well and good. But the old one took books. So what's going to happen to me rag books now? So now I've got a message, a new head office, when everyone's already busy today, to find out what's going on there. It's Monday. Yesterday finished reading The Sisters Brothers. Actually, what had happened was it got to 9 o'clock in the evening and I thought, I've still got 240 pages left of this, but if I try and read 2 pages every minute, I could get this done. And you know what I did? I sat there until 11:30 until The Sisters Brothers was finished. I don't understand why it's in my volunteer's top 5 books that she's ever read. However, what I will say is that I did like it. I thought it was a brilliant book. It's going on my favourites for last month, but by no means do I think that it would reach the top 5 of all books of mine that I've ever read. However, I'm very aware that I've read completely different books than this volunteer, which is also strange. What would make it in my top 5 books of all time? I don't know. That's a quandary for another day. Right now, because I'm so busy and I'm so rushed and I've got all these messages to send and it's not even 8:30 yet. I'm going to disappear quite quickly today, go and get coffee and start emailing folk. I tell you, it's a good job that I'm caffeinated. Surprisingly picked up Streets of Laredo again by Larry McMurtry. I hoped to read a lot more of this than I read yesterday, but basically on Sunday night I sat down at 9 o'clock and I finished reading The Sisters Brothers, and I did that rather quickly, and I thought, well, that time's available to me on Monday night, so I will read, and I read 90 pages of this. And like I say, I hoped to read more yesterday, but I'm also very focused on finishing Alice Valentine. There are things that happened in this book that were darker than I had anticipated. There is racist language used, which bothers me, and the way in which the characters behave bothers me. At the same time, I'm understanding that McMurtry is writing about a different time in America, and the setting that he has chosen means that people are going to live in a certain way and have certain beliefs. And so he's stayed true to the characters through that, regardless of how uncomfortable that makes me. At times as well, I find the prose incredibly slow. I won't say that I'm going to get any read today. I want to write 2 poems for Poems and Pints this evening, but I don't yet know what to talk about. I did consider writing something based on something I heard yesterday. I'd chosen to take Sally for a walk around Macclesfield Forest, and when I arrived, it was absolutely full of cars. This never happens midweek, so I didn't know what was going on. And then as I'm trying to drive around, there's a group of scallies in the middle of the road. I chose not to do the long walk because of thinking of time restrictions and everything, so just walk to the benches, which is a walk that Sally and I used to do regularly on a Tuesday anyway. And I thought, we'll stop at the benches. Sally likes to run around the field that's there. She didn't get a chance to because those 4 scallies were back there. Anyway, I mention this because every sign that you see around this area talks about the reservoir. As you drive into Macclesfield Forest, there is a sign declaring this a reservoir. So when I heard one of the people there say, "I'm not being funny, but is that reservoir a lake or a reservoir?" I couldn't help but chuckle. And so I think I want to write something based around that. Alongside that, Joy messaged me to say that our guest has had to drop out for this evening, and could I bring along a couple more poems to read? That's fine. I can bring Shepherd's Delight and I'll have a few poems on my phone. I just thought, great. I haven't even written poems yet and I'm getting asked to read more. My manager has just messaged to say that she's on her way here, so we don't have much time. DNFing Streets of Laredo by Larry McMurtry and donating all of my copies to the charity shop. This is simply because of something that occurred just after what I'd read when I'd spoken to you the other day. There is just a certain amount of violence in here that I find gratuitous. Other people might think it's a perfect representation and evocation of what was going on in the American West, but for me it did little to further the story. And since we'd already seen atrocious acts of violence committed by certain characters, it felt like it was belabouring the point with little enhancement of the plot. So I got rid of that. Well, I decided to stop reading that because, you know, it's been 80 pages last year, 80 pages this year, and 90 pages. It's such a slow reading process, and I find myself resenting the time reading it, and I was beginning to resent the idea of reading the other books. Then I went and read reviews of the earlier books, and as I said in the TBR video, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of prequels, so these Lonesome Dove prequels that are there, I shouldn't have bought them all at once. You know, this was back during the lockdown, and I thought, well, I could read these because I read Hilary Mantel's books during the previous lockdown, and at the time I thought that I'd get into these. And then they went and reopened the shops and everything, so I bought these right at the end of a lockdown. And so I just never got that opportunity that I wanted to read them, and time kept passing. And I think that's fine. You know, I talked about how I've changed as a reader and I struggle to read these more violent things nowadays. It does mean that one of my goals is scratched off because I won't be reading any more Larry McMurtry. Funny, considering I did record a goals check-in the other day, but I'll just edit that. So McMurtry and McCarthy are out. Maybe I just have problems with MC. I did read Something to Write Home About from the collection No Love Lost by Rachel Ingalls, and it turned out that I'd actually read a few more of the novellas in this collection than I recognised. This one really felt more like a short story, and I don't understand why it's included in a collection of novellas. Some of them I can remember really enjoying for their weirdness and how surreal they were, but some of them I just don't get the point of them, and this was only saved from being brought into the charity shop today. One, because of the fact that I feel like I'm just throwing a lot of books away at the moment, and two, because I think that I want to read the final novella in here. The next novella that I've got is 90 pages, so I'm thinking that's going to take me about 2 nights to read, and then read a third on Sunday, and then read the final one over Monday and Tuesday. Anyway, I'm going to go make a coffee. I feel like I'm starting with a cold. Ugh. I'll check in with you tomorrow to round everything off. It is Saturday, and I'm here just to draw a line under things for the week, as we do every Saturday. So, yesterday, as we know, I stopped reading Streets of Laredo this week, and whilst it might seem a little unsuccessful as a week, I think that it's nice sometimes as readers to admit when we've been defeated by a book. And today, this week in particular, I did feel particularly defeated by Streets of Laredo and Larry McMurtry. It's fine for us, I think, to have these dreams as readers that every single book by an author is going to be something that grabs us completely and wholeheartedly and entirely. But sometimes that's just not the case. And as much as Lonesome Dove is still one of those books that I hold to great esteem, and I really appreciate the time I spent reading that book way back when, a distance ago. We are a changed reader since then, and no longer suits my sensibilities, so that project is gone. Drawing the line under it. Books are in the shop. I have looked at another book that I donated months ago now, and I keep thinking, is that something that I want to read? But honestly, I kept my sheet of the inventory that I did at the start of the year, detailing every single book that I had to read or unhaul or that sort of thing. And despite the fact that I've probably unhauled as many books as I have read this year, when I think about that list, there are very few that I remember and think that I regret getting rid of it. So what did I read instead? I started reading The Whalebone Theatre by Joanna Quinn, but didn't really get very far into it because, well, for whatever reason, last night I spent the entire night thinking I'd got cold. Don't know what it was. I was sneezing all night, extremely hot, headaches, that sort of thing. I did wonder whether I'm feeling run down, because with everything going on at work, I felt a lot of stress this week, and I haven't really slept that much since Monday. And I'm wondering whether it's just attacking me now and getting back at me. Either way, got up this morning and started reading, because it's on my phone, The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hurst by our very own Katie Lumsden. And let me just tell you, I was chuckling on the first page. So far, I know I'm not even a chapter in, I don't know the story yet, I'm only being introduced to characters, but the way that Katie has introduced characters in this book, sublime. The observations and the ways that she is able to tell you who a character is with just like 3 to 5 words about their personality, or not even about their personality, about an action they're taking. Oh, I was thrilled and just admiring it. If this is a indication of what the rest of the book is going to be like, then I am really happy to be reading The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hurst as my next book. I want to read this one because I want to put out a review around the week that the book comes out, and then possibly actually acquire a copy of the book. I'm calling it a birthday present to myself. So that's what's going to be happening. I think that's going to be a book that I read. It's going to be on my phone. It's not going to be getting one of the ones off my shelf, but I'm really looking forward to reading this and really like the way that Katie's writing. So yeah, that's where we are now. Watched Drag Race All Stars 9, the latest episode, and people kept saying it was the best musical episode of a while, and I swear, they probably have the talent to do their own makeup, but did they do their own makeup? I don't know. Anyway, I've just seen that all of the handbags have collapsed. Was there an earthquake here in the night? Dun, dun, duh. there is a conspiracy for you to send you off into the next week. Was there an earthquake, or was I not paying attention yesterday? Did a customer knock over one handbag and it sent the rest of the handbags falling like dominoes? I don't know. We don't have CCTV in this place. At least I don't think we do. There's every chance my manager could have installed hidden cameras. I am going to get myself a cup of coffee and maybe some paracetamol. If you have read any of the books or would like to discuss anything I've talked about in this video, then please feel free to do so in the comments. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, because until next time, that is all.